Well, what they're giving could make it more difficult for all of us, particularly if you're a freelancer, a gig worker, or an independent contractor to work and earn a living. 637 now, 1310 KFKA, 1310KFKA.com. Northern Colorado's Voice, Mornings with Gail, via the Auto Collision Specialist Studios. Joined this morning by Greg Murad, Vice President for Legislation with the National Right to Work Committee. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here with you.
Certainly appreciate your taking the time. So let's start at the beginning here with the definition of right to work. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, a right to work law is really very simple. It says that nobody can be forced to pay dues or fees to a union just to have a job and feed their families. And it's really as simple as that.
And how many states have right to work laws?
There are 27 states with right to work laws now.
What about Colorado?
Colorado, unfortunately, does not. We came close to passing one there, 15 years or so ago, but we couldn't quite get over the finish line. And then a whole bunch of people moved in from California and made the state politics a lot more challenging.
Yes, the Californication of Colorado. All right, meanwhile, on the federal level, let's turn to this PRO Act that basically would wipe out the gig economy, freelancers, independent contractors. Let's say they're in the crosshairs.
Absolutely, and it does a lot more than that, but that's certainly a component of it. They want to force all those people to count as somebody's employee, and the only reason they want to do that is so that they can then force them into unions.
Well, it's truly terrifying. I mean, we're coming off the ravages on a multitude, myriad levels as a result of COVID-19. It seems to me that it's counterproductive. Why am I hearing in my head right now, you didn't build that? Remember President Barack Obama?
I do remember that.
Yeah, but it makes no sense to me whatsoever other than, well, the obvious, and it's payback to the unions for their support for President Joe Biden. But it makes no sense to me whatsoever that they are taking this tack.
Well, yeah, the union bosses, puppet politicians in Washington rarely bother about common sense or economic reality. What they do care about is making sure that the union coffers get filled with forced dues money, because those coffers then get spent on electing those same people again. And so economic reality, economic productivity is not really part of the equation for those people. All that really matters is how can we force more people to pay dues.
All right. Speaking of that, and I hate to spring this on you, but you probably are familiar with this case in Colorado Springs, that Colorado Springs metal worker that hit the sheet metal union bosses with federal charges for demanding over $20,000 in illegal fines. Can you give us the backstory on that?
Yeah, I don't know a lot of the details of that particular one, but it's not an uncommon situation. The unions will often take advantage of their workers who, especially if it's a worker who's known to not like the union, they will find any excuse to try to charge him with fines and then make his life miserable, drive him out of the workplace if they can, and in general extract as much money from him as they can. So it's not an unusual story, especially for somebody who is known to be unfavorable to the union or possibly trying to get rid of the union, for them to penalize him in that way and generally do those sorts of things. That's why right-to-work laws are so important, because if you don't want to be in a union, unions that are abusive like that, right to work gives unions another layer of accountability, because people can vote with their feet and just say, you know what, this union is corrupt, this union is unfair, this union leadership doesn't deserve our support, and we're just going to stop paying.
Now, I'm sure that there are those that would argue that point with you, basically saying, oh, but wait, Greg, I mean, all the unions are doing are ensuring that their workers are safe and they're making as much money as they can, to which you say?
To which I say that the union contract is not a universal benefit to the entire workforce. It holds back the most productive workers who want to work harder, longer, or smarter and get rewarded for it. It holds those people back. It doesn't let them. The union contract becomes a ceiling for them that they can't break through. It really often functions as socialism writ small. They're holding back the productive in favor of the unproductive.
Yeah,
and so it's not a benefit to those people. Why should they be paying for a union contract that's holding them back and limiting their options?
Well, and it seems to me that this is a mainstay of your work with the right to work legislation, sadly, that, did fail in Colorado. But there's some other hot spots around the country when it comes to right to work legislation, right?
Oh, sure. We're active right now in a bunch of states trying to pass new state right to work laws. We're working in Montana. We're working in New Hampshire. We're working in Minnesota. We're working on defense right now in Virginia, where big labor's pet politicians took over the state 2 years ago now, and made some attempts towards repealing right to work. It didn't get very far yet, but we're active right now. Virginia has elections now in the off year, and so we're active letting all of the right to work supporters there know which politicians are trying to gut their right to work law and which ones aren't. And so, we're on offense in a bunch of places. We're on defense in a couple of places, but we are always trying to pass new state right to work laws, and certainly hope to get back into Colorado again one day.
Greg, it's an old radio trick. You never ask a question you don't already know the answer to, so here it is. What's the future of the PRO Act?
Well, this year, I think we're going to be able to bottle up the PRO Act and keep it blocked in the Senate with the filibuster. They don't have 60 votes for that bill, so they have to either break the filibuster, they have to destroy the filibuster in order to get it to Joe Biden's desk. And right now, we've got at least 2 Democrats who have said they will not participate in destroying the filibuster. And there's probably another half dozen hiding behind their skirts, if you will, that recognize that it would be a dangerous thing. They're just afraid to put their names on the opposition. So I think that we're going to be able to stop it. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to rest on our laurels. We're going to have to work to make sure that we bolster the couple of Democrats that have had the courage to say no, destroying the filibuster is a good thing. And make sure they continue hearing from their constituents to say, yeah, that's right. The filibuster is a good thing, and destroying it is a bad thing, and keep it up.
Yeah, arguably, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, I think he's a rock star. He's my new hero. But arguably, he's one of the most powerful individuals in the swamp.
Right now, in the situation we're in with a 50-50 tie, and him being known to be one of the less crazy liberal Democrats out there, yes, he's really in the sweet spot in terms of being able to make deals and determine what gets passed and what doesn't among Democrat policy, at least.
Greg Murad, Vice President for Legislation with the National Right to Work Committee. Tell us a little bit more about you and your work. You've been with this organization for more than 21 years, right?
Yeah, 24 years now, actually.
Okay, I got it correct.
Yeah, started in late '96. The mission of the organization is simple. We believe in right to work laws, so we are passing right to work laws in the states. One day we're going to pass a national right to work law. We've been introducing that in Congress for a number of years now, and recruiting co-sponsors for it, forcing votes when we can, with the ultimate goal of making it a right to work nation instead of a patchwork of right to work states and non-right to work states. And we're going to get there one day.
Certainly music to our collective ears. Greg Murad, Vice President for Legislation, National Right to Work Committee. Thanks so much for your time, your insights, your perspectives this morning. Certainly do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be with you.
You bet. Take good care.